Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetti.
Our headlines today. Police will this morning search the River Thames for
big money involved, but it's hard to see how you could control it. That's the point.
Well, there are reasons drugs are banned.
Yeah.
You know, partly because of performance, but largely because of health. So
it's
can't really see the sense in it, but we'll see how it works out. Mike, thanks so much.
7:43 is the time now. Around about 8:10, so in about half an hour or so, we'll be talking a little more about the scandal involving the post office and one of the former sub-postmasters who has had her fraud conviction quashed. Her and her daughter coming in this morning. Just talk about what they've been through and how they're feeling now about the process as it's unfolding.
She's the first one, isn't she, to have had that conviction quashed since the drama,
the
post office, Mr. Bates.
Just recently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll talk to them. It's coming up to 7:45. You need to hear what Simon has to say. Always. I love Lytham St Anne's.
Do you?
Yeah, I think that beach is so beautiful. And obviously it has a very great golf course.
Of course, yeah. That's the real reason why you like it.
Well, that's one of the reasons.
Well, you go there often, at least.
But this is a beautiful scene.
Lovely. This is this morning, just a short time ago.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a fairly quiet start. And you may or may not be able to see this, I don't know. But just here, can you see this?
Which one is it?
Rainbowy little bright spot there? Maybe not. It's a sundog.
You can see it.
It's a sundog. Yes. Dog. D-O-G.
Sundog?
Sundog.
You'll have to explain now.
It's a parhelion. So basically, around the sun, you have ice crystals and stuff in a higher atmosphere. And it's an atmospheric optic, basically. And it basically means that light from the sun gets reflected at 90 degrees from the sun, and it creates these mock suns, they're called. So often they are a bit brighter, so it might look like the sun.
So it looks like a second
sun. And you might often get one the other side as well. Not in this case, but just a little thing there. Anyway, I just noticed that. I just spotted it.
A sundog. I've learned something. It's great.
Anyway, it's not a bad start today for many of us, actually.
7:43 is the time now. Around about 8:10, so in about half an hour or so, we'll be talking a little more about the scandal involving the post office and one of the former sub-postmasters who has had her fraud conviction quashed. Her and her daughter coming in this morning. Just talk about what they've been through and how they're feeling now about the process as it's unfolding.
She's the first one, isn't she, to have had that conviction quashed since the drama, the post office, Mr. Bates.
Just recently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll talk to them. It's coming up to 7:45. You need to hear what Simon has to say. Always. I love Lytham St Anne's.
Do you?
Yeah, I think that beach is so beautiful. And obviously it has a very great golf course.
Of course, yeah. That's the real reason why you like it.
Well, that's one of the reasons.
Well, you go there often, at least.
But this is a beautiful scene.
Extraordinary looking creature, isn't it?
Fabulous.
Amazing.
I'm just amazed it can get up to 12 stone. That's scary. Perhaps you fancy zhuzhing up your wardrobe or your car or your art collection. If you are in the market for that, some good news. Sir Elton John is having a clear out.
So what's on sale is what you're asking this morning. It's one of Elton John's pianos going up for sale, and you can see it there, a Bentley, which he's been not using recently, I suppose. That's why he's getting rid of the stuff. Christie's auction in New York is where it's all going.
Well, later this month, that will happen, and experts say the collection's likely to fetch at least $10 million. I suppose one of the things is, because of those distinctive initials, it's kind of silly if you had a pair of boots with E&J on and if they didn't match your name.
Well, if you think about wearing them.
Yeah.
Well, I think on the whole, people are just going to put them on the, on a cupboard somewhere and point at them. On the
would you put them
shoes
on your
mantelpiece? I think that's bad.
Think that's
Isn't that
right.
bad luck or something?
I don't know.
Just shoes anywhere but the floor.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's grubby. Just don't do it. But it just doesn't work, does it?
Put them on display somewhere, wouldn't you?
If you don't have the initials. Anything take your fancy there?
Not really. Although I learnt the piano when I was younger.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything that I learnt except for one song.
Go on.
Song for Guy by Elton John.
Beautiful.
So maybe I should.
It's interesting, Simon, because we've got a piano just round the back. Well, the bulletin at 9:15. We'll bring it on. We'd like to see that.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone can wait for that. Fabulous. What song are you singing when it comes to the weather?
Oh, I don't know. Don't blame it on the weatherman.
Bring me sunshine.
Bring me sunshine, yeah, all those. Because actually, you know what? We had a lot of rainfall over the last few days, and actually there's still about 100 flood warnings in force, actually, across England and Wales. A few showers spreading from west to east as we go into the afternoon, compared to this afternoon, about 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. Acts of rain as well. Back to you two.
Simon, thanks very much.
Now, it was one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in UK history.
And then just for the last Six Nations match on Sunday, Ireland v Italy, again, fairly cloudy, and there'll be some outbreaks of rain as well. Back to you two.
Simon, thanks very much.
Now, it was one of the biggest miscarriages of justice in UK history. Slowly, some victims of the Post Office IT scandal are having their convictions overturned.
The first sub-postmaster to have their conviction quashed in England since that ITV drama shed new light on the issue is Katy Crane, who started running the post office in Eastbourne in the year 2000.
So she first started noticing shortfalls in the system back in 2008 and asked the Post Office to investigate the issue. In 2010, Katy was ordered to repay more than £18,000 and given a 12-month community order when she was convicted of fraud. Now, 14 years later, Katy's name has finally been cleared.
Still makes me emotional.
Kathy, good morning.
Kathy's here with us now.
Good morning, with daughter Katy as well. Morning to you. You said it still makes you emotional.
Oh, yes. Very much.
It's so recent, isn't it? Well, I mean, we'll ask about what happened at the start when you took over at the post office as sub-postmaster, but just what have the last few weeks been like for you?
Oh, a roller coaster. I wasn't originally going to go to the courts. I thought, no. And then I lay in bed the night before and thought, you've got to see this through till the end. So myself and my other daughter went up, and I'm so glad I did go. So glad I did go.
Should we go back to the start? So it was your husband who was the postmaster,
Yes,
the sub-postmaster, Robert. And Robert became ill. He had a heart attack.
Yes, and many other things.
OK, so you decided to take over the business. You had experience, you'd worked in business before, very confident with money and accounts and running a business. So everything seemed OK?
Yes, everything was fine. All going along quite nicely, thoroughly enjoying it. Lovely people coming in the shop. And then one day I thought, there's something not right. At the end of the day, you look at the money, I thought, I haven't done anything wrong. Oh, it'll sort itself out.
What kind of amounts are you talking about at the beginning when you noticed disparity?
It started off with 3,500, and I thought, no, that's an odd amount. And then the following week you balanced again, and it had gone up like to 8,000. And I'm thinking, well, where's it gone? And you sort of go over and over. You think, is it me? Am I doing something wrong, looking at it wrong?
We've spoken to sub-postmasters before and spoken to them and about the effect it has in the workplace.
Oh, yeah.
And how other staff think about it. Some have said, you know, we started thinking maybe it was some of our staff who we trusted implicitly.
You do, it does go through your head, but one of the ladies who worked with me had been there, I think, since the post office opened, and so I never doubted her at all.
So, as you saw these numbers add up, what was the kind of process? Who did you get in touch with to say, this isn't right?
Well, I rang Horizon, the help desk.
Right.
To get someone to come down. Nobody came. Ring again, nobody came. Then one morning they did turn up.
At the post office?
Yeah. They knocked on the window and in they came. And I said, oh, well, you know, there's a large amount missing. We'll deal with that. And they go through the figures again and again, and you know what the outcome's going to be. And that was it. And then they just closed the post office.
Katy, so just give us, so people understand, what age were you when these events started to unfold?
So I would have just started secondary school, so I would have been 11 or 12 years old.
And you're realising, I don't know how open you were about what was going on. How much did you know about what was happening at the time?
So Mum and Dad had always tried, like you do with your children, to protect us. But you just know, you know, we were a close family, and you just know when something's not quite right. And
Why
when
did
your
you
mum,
know?
Just how Mum was. I knew that you know, the post office had closed. Mum was obviously very withdrawn. She was very, you know, upset, very stressed about obviously what's going on. And you just pick up on, you know, vibes of your family. My dad obviously was also quite emotional about it at the time. So you just pick up on a feeling.
Katie, your mum was convicted. And I mean, we've heard quite a bit from the postmasters themselves and those who are running the post office. For you, as a family member, what was that like?
I mean, it was awful. There was never a doubt in my mind that my mum was completely innocent and had done nothing wrong. But at that moment, you feel helpless because, you know, a court have said she's guilty, she's been convicted. You feel like there's nothing you can do. And it was traumatic. You know, I was thinking, oh, my gosh, what if my mum goes to jail? What am I going to do? What's my dad going to do? You know, you worry about what your friends might think, what my teachers might think.
What were people saying to you? What was the community like?
I hadn't really spoken to many people about it, to be honest, because I felt like it was my mum's business to tell. And, you know, I've got amazing, you know, supportive family and friends, but I just didn't feel like I could really tell them about it. And it all just seemed to be a bit surreal. Like, you almost just think, this isn't happening. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and, oh, don't worry, we found the money. Everything's fine. Stand down.
That's what you did keep thinking. Oh, it's all right. There it is, you know.
Yeah, it's just a mistake that will come out. And all this time, Robert was still alive.
Yeah.
But he was seeing all this unfold as well. What was he saying to you?
Well, he noticed an article in a magazine to do with Horizon. So he then went online to try and start the process. But then he became very, very ill, didn't he? So that was put aside because we had to care for him. So unfortunately, he passed away not knowing the outcome, which was very sad.
Can I ask you, Kathy, about the effect on you in terms of the emotions? And you were talking a moment ago about community and whether people were judging you because of the conviction, now quashed. I mean, it's so important to say that over and over again. And we saw your emotions right at the beginning. It is quashed. You know, it was wrong.
Yes.
But there was a period of time when, what was it like engaging with people? How were people with you?
I was very uncomfortable and I felt people were judging me. And unfortunately, I thought everybody was judging me, and not everybody was. But I became very withdrawn. I didn't really go out a lot. I was just quite happy in the house. I felt safe, you know, in the home. But people would smile, but people that would normally stop and talk kept walking. You know, they obviously didn't want to talk to me.
I can't imagine what that would have felt like.
It was horrible. Horrible. It's not nice at all, because I'm quite a quiet person anyway, I think. I think I am. And it just made everything worse. You were humiliated, really.
Yeah, and it's almost like you've got this black mark on you, haven't you?
That's right.
Even though you know you're innocent and you haven't done anything wrong.
Because all those years, as they've said, I suffered in silence and never told a soul. And overnight, everybody knew.
So... yeah, sorry. I was just going to ask, as you look forward now, and a lot of people in your situation are being asked that question about what will make... Nothing's going to change what happened in the past and the emotional damage and all of that. But what can be done to make up in any way for what's happened? And I know there's financial recompense, which is being sort of negotiated in some situations. Overall, what is it?
I think someone's got to be held to account for this, because the pain they put myself and many others through is cruel, very cruel.
The Post Office has said we're deeply sorry for past wrongs, doing all we can to put these right. And while I read this out, it's worth seeing your reaction to this statement. We're deeply sorry for past wrongs. We're doing all we can to put these right, including extensive work to support overturning wrongful convictions. We continue to work with the government to support efforts to speed up the exoneration of people with wrongful convictions and ensure compensation is paid. What does that mean? I mean, Katie, I think you're politely laughing.
Don't start her off.
No, we'll start her off. It's fine. It's your story.
Think, you know, 14 years too late. Like, you know, my mum's lived with this for 14 years. She, you know, she's spoken about how she felt. You know, real fear, standing up in court and being told she was guilty of a crime she'd never committed. You know, dealing with a very poorly husband, the loss of, my dad, and then potentially my mum going to prison, and I just think, 14 years too late. My mum was asking for help and wasn't getting any, and I just think it's just insane to me that it took the ITV drama to bring it to the forefront of everyone's, attention.
Because there were investigations, there were journalists working on this, but it wasn't being recognised.
Yeah, and I'm over the moon that Mum has now got the conviction overturned.
Cool. The Post Office has said we're deeply sorry for past wrongs, doing all we can to put these right. And while I read this out, it's worth seeing your reaction to this statement. We're deeply sorry for past wrongs. We're doing all we can to put these right, including extensive work to support overturning wrongful convictions. We continue to work with the government to support efforts to speed up the exoneration of people with wrongful convictions and ensure compensation is paid. What does that mean? I mean, Katy, I think you're politely laughing.
Don't start her off.
No, we'll start her off. It's fine. It's your story.
Think, 14 years too late. My mum's lived with this for 14 years. She's spoken about how she felt. Real fear, standing up in court and being told she was guilty of a crime she'd never committed. Dealing with a very poorly husband, the loss of, my dad, and then potentially my mum going to prison, and I just think, 14 years too late. My mum was asking for help and wasn't getting any, and I just think it's just insane to me that it took the ITV drama to bring it to the forefront of everyone's, attention.
Because there were investigations, there were journalists working on this, but it wasn't being recognised.
Yeah, and I'm over the moon that Mum has now got the conviction overturned. Absolutely, I think, she deserves the compensation. And as what she said, somebody does need to be held to account. And, feel the fear that my mum felt. And the shame that my mum felt.
The fear that you may go to prison is unbearable.
Yeah, especially when you know you've done nothing wrong.
But I didn't.
Say it out loud. That's the thing, isn't it? I'm very pleased you came in and told us your story.
You.
And we've heard stories from others, and every time, we, the audience, hear these stories, the unfairness of what happened is manifest. Thank you very much.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Good luck with the future as well.
Thank you.
Can I just say, where I work, it's in a care home. The day after I went in and all the little old ladies were cheering, honestly, it was so emotional.
And we had an amazing barrister.
The conviction was quashed.
Yeah, I went into work.
And they all knew?
Yeah, because they saw you on the telly.
Well, they'll be watching this morning.
Because as I said, I never told anyone.
Well, that
was
in amongst many bad things.
Oh, that was lovely.
Like
I told you, didn't I? Oh, they were cheering and waving their hands in the air.
Do you think they're watching now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Say
Give them a wave.
See that one there?
This one,
that's camera 4.
Hello, everybody at work. Thank you.
Kathy, Katy Crane, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. And thank you for hearing our story.
Let's see, it's 8:29, just coming to 8:30.
It's been a week since Northern Ireland's devolved government was re-established, and one of the issues on the agenda is a planned new stadium in West Belfast.
Getting into just the tailgate where they all sit at the back of their cars and sort of hang out before the game is over $1,000.
Those are some impressive statistics. I'm assuming you'll be watching, Caroline. If anything, even though you're an entertainment supporter and it's a sporting event, obviously Taylor Swift and Usher making appearances. Maybe. Caroline, thank you so much. Caroline Faraday, entertainment reporter for us, joining us from LA.
We're saying it's full coverage of the whole event on 5 Live. As it happens.
Absolutely. That is it from us today. Of course, as usual, Breakfast will be joining you again on BBC One tomorrow from 6 o'clock.
Hope you have a great weekend from everyone here. Bye-bye.
Bye.